Sit!
Welcome to the Dynasty Nerds Fantasy Football Podcast, where we discuss dynasty strategy, rankings, and all things NFL. So get ready to geek out on fantasy football with your host, Rich Dotson.
And welcome to the Dynasty Nerds Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm Rich Dotson. He's Garret Price.
How's it going?
He's Jagger May.
Howdy.
Surprise, bitches. We got a little Rise and Fallen show coming out on a random Monday after some AFC and NFC Championship games. We decided to do these once a month because there's always news and there's always reasons to talk down or talk up a player once a month. And you can make an argument either way why this player should be traded away, or, hey, man, you should buy this player. Like, yeah, some people are right, some people are wrong. What side of history are you boys on?
Depends on the player.
On the day.
There's some that I've been on I'm like, oh yeah, I'm a genius. And then there's other guys I'm like, I'm just going to shut up right now.
Yeah. I can't wait till I'm past the statute limitations on Anthony Richardson. I got 4 more seasons. It's like,
yeah, I think I'm cleared on Clyde. I feel like I'm definitely cleared on Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Like, I feel like,
yeah, you're good now.
Yeah.
You're good now.
Yeah, I think I could go ahead and still talk stuff like, oh, dude, I'm right a lot. And people bring up the Clyde Edwards-Helaire soapbox I stood on. So yeah, there's always some players to talk about. We got a list here. Do you guys want to talk about some guys that we think are risers in the Dynasty the rankings community? Brains?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
We got 6 guys in total that we listed. Of course, we only really talk about 3, but some guys that were at least in consideration. Ramondre Stevenson, he's been playing very well. It seems like he's not going away, which is very annoying for fantasy football managers. Blake Corum, he's been getting more touches in that offense. It seems like it's trending towards a true split, which is going to make that very, very annoying. But good for Blake Corum. And then one that just missed making our list, which seemed like a weird one, but I do think this guy is rising, which is Bijan Robinson. If it was possible to get a situation that would make him even more elite for fantasy football, it was getting a guy like Kevin Stefanski and getting, what's his name, the offensive line coach?
Bill Callahan.
I legitimately think Bijan is in for a 25-plus point per game season. Like, I think he's going to absolutely.
Well, yeah, with that, like, a lot of people are going to say Bill Callahan, he's a guru offensive line coach, which he is. He's a fantastic offensive line coach, but he's also a run game coordinator. Like, he has a big hand in scheming the run plays for their offense, and he's got really good history doing that as well. Yeah, I expect Bijan to be potential. We talked about something on the live show, Garrett, or whatever show we did. Like, Bijan has a chance to be the number 1 overall fantasy scorer in 2026. So if you have him, go ahead and feel good about yourself. He's a championship caliber player. Think like, creme de la creme, Travis Kelce, Christian McCaffrey, 2 years ago, Jamar Chase, those players that single-handedly walk you into the playoffs because, like, you win those games by a couple points, and you're starting like Zach Wilson at quarterback, but you still pulled out a W. You're like, how did this happen? Oh, thanks, Uncle Bijan.
Thanks, Bijan. Absolutely. All right, well, let's get into the guys that we're actually talking about today. Our number 3 on our list of risers, Colston Loveland. This rookie got better and better as the year went on, got more and more involved in the offense, and we saw in the playoff games he became a major, major focal point and target for the Chicago Bears that had a really nice run and were very, very close to being in this playing this weekend. So very, very good run for Colston Loveland. Jagger, for you, where should we be ranking Colston Loveland at this point? I think most people would agree we're going to be right in the top 5, but where do you have him?
he's top 5, and a lot of it is like you're asking yourself questions of who's going to fall down, because like we had Tucker Kraft up there for a bit. He's had the injury, and now we've had Harold Fannin up there. Kevin Stefanski's gone. We still don't know who their quarterback is. We don't even know who their head coach is. And then you got to ask the question, Tyler Warren versus Colston Loveland. I'm going to be honest, it's Colston Loveland for me, even with the season that Tyler Warren had, just because you feel like this is just the beginning for the Bears, where they're at offensively. Another season under Ben Johnson, get DJ Moore out of there. We start to see a lot of those targets consolidate across, Odunze, Burden, and Loveland. So I'm kind of all in on Loveland at cost, even though it is expensive cost. So
absolutely. What do you think, Rich? I know we liked him as a prospect. He's done nothing to dissuade us from that. So where should we have him?
Yeah, wow. Like a guy who goes top 10 in the NFL draft looks good.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. Wowzers in my trousers. Yeah, I think, what Jagger said too, like expensive, right? And that's the first thing that pops in my head. And I put, like you mentioned all those tight ends, like that's a good tier, right? Like I wouldn't, like if you said you're taking Colston Loveland there, fine. If you want to take Tucker Kraft there, I'm still okay with taking Tucker Kraft that high. I know he has the ACL injury, super young, a dog with the ball in his hands. Like very similar. Tucker Kraft and actually Harold Fannin are pretty similar when it comes to tight ends. And, of course, Tyler Warren there. The case for Tyler Warren is Michael Pittman has a very good chance to be a cap casualty going into this offseason with his salary, nothing guaranteed. And increase him into year 2. We know tight ends usually take 2 to 3 years. So he has a chance to be that number one weapon still in this offense. Harold Fannin, we don't know who the coach is. We don't know who the QB is. Still the best weapon on that offense in the passing game. When it comes to Colston Loveland, you're right. He's looked absolutely fantastic leading to the playoffs and into the playoffs. The big thing there for me that's going to, just a little cool water on it, because I still think he's in that tier, right? Like he's in that group. But if you want to make an argument against it is, Rome Odunze hasn't been a point in this offense with his injuries and being banged up. And remember when Rome Odunze, right when Rome Odunze got hurt, like he's been up he looked like he was a true wide receiver 1. So like I am really curious about how this offense is gonna look. And by the way, I love that quote from Ben Johnson. Like when they were like, "Hey, you're gonna carry this momentum the next year." He's like, "No, what are you talking about? Like every year is different. It's its own thing. You don't even have the same team. Like that's a big myth. You don't carry momentum into the next season. Like there's so much different there." So I am excited about that Bears offense with Caleb Johnson into the system for another year and all these weapons. But like I do think Rome Odunze has the talent and potential to be a top tier wide receiver. We saw the emergence of Luther Burden. What are they going to do at the running back position? Are they going to keep the same with Kyle Monangai and DeAndre Swift in the passing game? Those are all targets that
and we'll see about DJ Moore. He might not be gone. He could still be here.
Correct. And we saw that early on with Sam Laporta when Sam Laporta was forced in to be the number 2 option in that offense. He put up the tight end 1 overall season. Right. We saw now with a down Rome Odunze, Colston Loveland has looked really, really good. So what happens when there is more weapons on the table? Because I think Ben Johnson's offense does move the ball around a lot. That being said, an absolute rise. And I think a lot of people are going to feel that sentiment as well. So from a price standpoint, if you have Colston Loveland, sweet. You have like collectively a top 5 tight end, dynasty tight end in our eyes. But, when you ride these waves of buys and sells, if I can move Colston Loveland for a plus for a guy like Harold Fannin or a guy like, Tyler Warren, I would be interested in that what plus would be, because I do think they're in the same tier. And I think the other guys do have a clearer path than Tyler Warren and Harold Fannin. So say like I can move Colston Loveland for Harold Fannin in 27 second or Tyler Warren in a 2027 second. I believe in those other 2 guys just enough where I would be okay with that too. It's a little win, right? Like I do think that 27 seconds is going to be a very strong asset when it's on the clock. So I think it's a pretty solid win in my eyes. Doesn't mean it can't happen, but that'd be the only like small limited trade I would be into. Cause again, I think Colston Loveland has a very bright future in Chicago in that offense.
And Rich, I am with you on that. I have all of those guys pretty much in the same tier. And if I'm in a startup right now, for me, I'm, instead of taking the guy that you're going to have to take at the early part of the 4th, I'd rather wait till the end of the 5th and take whichever one of those guys is left. Or, something like that, kind of like what you were talking, getting that plus on top. Because I do see them all very similar. Will one or two break out above the rest? Probably. Do I know which one or two though that is at this point? I don't. And we know it's McBride and Bowers in the first 15 picks. And then for me, decent gap. And then when we're in like the 40s, 50s or so, that's when I'm starting to look at the next guys. Jagger, looked like you wanted to say something.
I was gonna say I'm in lockstep. The only thing I disagree, Harold Fannin is outside of that bucket for me until I know what the Browns are doing. Judging these guys in a vacuum from a skill standpoint, I think he's right up there with him. I'm a huge fan. But what are the Browns going to do, man? Like, you guys are Browns fans. I feel like I'm preaching the choir. I need you to get that head coach, and I need you to tell me what your plan is at QB, and then I can make a movement. Because
the good news is it can't get much worse.
Exactly.
It's like,
I think it can, though. I think it actually can.
It really can. For somebody who watched every snap, it can't get much worse. Shadur's terrible. Was terrible. I don't care. I mean, if you love Shadur, sweet. I still think he has a chance to potentially grow into something. He was not good. Okay, he was
not towards the tail end. Like, he was not good at all. That's my worry. Is like Shadur's not good, and you guys are still going to have him. But one player I think I would actually put in this category and bucket, and a lot of people are probably going to scream. I think Kyle Pitts should be in this bucket. Kevin Stefanski going to the Falcons. And I think he's a free agent, if I'm not mistaken. But either way, I'm trying to stay in Atlanta with Kevin Stefanski.
It'd be smart on his behalf to stay there for how much Stefanski likes to utilize the tight end in the offense. They had the money for him. They need a number 2 weapon. He's familiar with Michael Penix, so I think it'd be great for him to stay. And again, going back to the guy I mentioned before, I said those young guys that I do like a lot, Tucker Kraft. There's a window with that injury that maybe you can move Colston Loveland for Tucker Kraft and a first. Like there's sometimes they open those doors. I think that window kind of lost itself. I know I got Tucker Kraft in a league where like I'm rebuilding. Like as soon as he got hurt, it was on a contender, and I threw TJ Hawkinson and like some other like Kobe Parkinson for Tucker Kraft, and I got Tucker Kraft. So people that are worried about injuries, that also opens a door. And for a tight end, even in tight end premium, get a guy back of Tucker Kraft's caliber, it's worth the risk on top of that first with him as well. But again, sometimes people just like the sure thing, right? The comfort level. But going back to like the Ben Johnson report, like there is no sure thing. Remember Kyle Pitts, rookie year, unicorn, one of the most expensive dynasty assets I've ever seen in my entire life. And the hype was like, so it's like a unicorn went flying over your head, and you're like, you could have that for a nickel, and everybody's like, everybody had nickels, and they're just trying to go after it, and they're just throwing them at him. Sam Laporta, his rookie year in Detroit, and now he's like kind of selling that tight end 6. Like, even though Colston Loveland is red hot now, it doesn't guarantee that he's going to enter that top 3, top 4. And realistic, what we've seen collectively, and I know this is a different group because I think this is the most upside in talent from a youth standpoint I've seen at tight end. I think in the history of me playing the game, I think the last time we saw it was like Jermaine Gresham, Rob Gronkowski, Aaron Hernandez, and there's one other tight end too. Like that was like that last movement where I saw like, and Jermaine Gresham was Jimmy Graham was in offense too. Because it's weird because they were like all 3rd round picks, right? Like, and it was like Jermaine Gresham to the Bengals was like 16th overall, and he was the worst one of all of them. But that was like the last really good, and I think even like I think that was after Antonio Gates, but like that was the last big movement of like young, really good tight ends. And I think this kind of changes it a little bit with the depth that you have. So if you want to keep Colston Loveland, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
All right. Well, let's go from Colston Loveland to our number 2 riser in our first offseason edition, and it's Jaxson Dart. And Jaxson Dart, we all had pretty much a very similar ranking on this. But Rich, the big thing for a young quarterback is to be in a solid, stable situation. And I think even though he's not an offensive guru or anything like that, bringing in John Harbaugh, it adds this stability factor for Jaxson Dart that he did not seem to have before. Plus, we know coming back from injury, we're getting Malik Nabers. We're going to be getting Cam Scatterbo. And it seems highly likely that they add another pass catcher, whether it's at tight end or wide receiver. via the draft or free agency or a trade. Seems highly likely that they improve that position somehow. So what makes Jaxson Dart a big riser for you? What's the biggest factor in all that?
Yeah, so many things to unpack and everything you just said there. One, stability, right? Stability is so important in the NFL. Like it's, to have the continuity for that offensive playbook to grow and the repetitions. The game is just repetition, knowing where the ball is going to be before the ball is even thrown. And it takes stability to have that. It really does. It's why you see a lot of these teams that have success. They have that stability behind them long term. There's so much more behind that, but it's such a major factor. And Harbaugh does bring that, right? And if he brings Todd Monken, a proven offensive coordinator out there, and it's going to give Jaxson Dart time to grow. And we know that they're going to put weapons around him and build this offense around Jaxson Dart. He's got 2 solid running backs. Offensive line, is significantly better. I am a little bit worried about Malik Nabers. Just a small red flag when he says, "Hey, I'll be ready when I'm ready." The fact that even a couple of weeks ago, he was still in a brace, which tells you that knee injury was a little worse than we might have anticipated. The news is a little
scary.
It is. All the news is going towards hey, the Giants are probably going to take a receiver in the first round. The Giants have the 5th overall pick. That's an unbelievably high spot. They take the number 1 receiver off the board probably there. As good as Malik Nabers is and where he went drafted, that player would have been drafted higher than Malik Nabers. All right. That's a huge commitment to a receiver. That hurts Malik Nabers a little bit. So the injury, they take a receiver at 5, that all hurts a little bit. Great for Jaxson Dart, by the way.
Great for Dart, though.
But I think he's been a riser from the get-go. It's kind of hard for him to get much higher than what he is because he's been so highly elevated. I know when he was playing, I was trying to get Jaxson Dart, and I was like, "Hey, here's a first plus this player." And you better throw 2 more firsts behind that offer. And you're like, "Oh man, this is you don't have my kid for ransom. Send me an ear if you want to get that."
Just the naming rights.
Yeah, come on, son. So. Yeah, Jaxson Dart, I think this rocket ship has been, blooming for a while now. He's a coveted asset. All signs point towards the upside of what he brings. He has a chance to enter that, Caleb Williams tier. We saw Caleb Williams ascend, especially the second half of the season, into almost tier 1 of dynasty quarterbacks. He's almost in that range. We can see a very similar thing with Jaxson Dart in year 2. Definitely add another first round receiver for him too. So yeah, big ascension. Everything points to he's going to be a franchise quarterback. And when you have an opportunity to get a 22, 23-year-old quarterback that, is kind of all the stars are aligning, he's shining bright. That is the number again. All the elite receivers, all the elite young running backs, there's no shining star brighter than that 23-year-old stud like Drake May right now. There's nothing right. Nothing. He's the son to your dynasty universe is Drake May right now. That's what you want everything else to revolve around that. And Jaxson Dart's kind of ascended that right now. He's a blooming sun.
A blooming sun. Jagger, that was the question I was gonna ask. You've obviously gotten a front row seat to Drake May, and people had him in a similar range where Jaxson Dart is right now. Last season, is there a path for a Jaxson Dart to be valued similar to a Drake May in Dynasty, or is that just not a possibility yet?
I think it's possible. What I'm not telling you to do is going ahead and drafting Jaxson Dart according to that theory, because things could go wrong. Just like things could have went wrong. There's a reason why Drake May was a discount, because the Patriots were bad and we didn't know if they were going to be good. And Mike Vrabel just turned things around, rightfully so. But yeah, 100%. You named all the things. And one thing we're not talking about, he's mobile. He's got the rushing upside on top of that. He's even better than Drake May. Like, I would take that receiving core right now over what the Patriots have. I'd rather have Malik Nabers, Wan'Dale Robinson. I think tight end's a wash, whatever. But they have a lot of exciting weapons. And Rich, you said it, man. Todd Monken is really the reason why I think this is a huge riser, because you get what I feel like the upside of what Dayball gave you, but none of the Dayball clock management problems. So
they know how to utilize a rushing quarterback. They know how to scheme for things like that. And Jaxson Dart's super athletic. Like, he's a better Daniel Jones.
Yeah,
that's actually a great comp, to be honest.
Yeah. Daniel Jones is actually PC.
Those are guys you like strive to have. That gives you, nothing's worse than having a dynasty roster and look at it and you're just like it's a good roster, but like the future's just like, oh man, like where do I go from here? Like, this is like a nice house. Like, you're like on the outside, like, dude, that's a really nice house. And then you go in and you're like, dude, like, where's all the decor? Like, this is
they're missing doors. There's no doors in this house.
Yeah, like dude, paint a wall out here, bro. Make this look like it's like there's no bright future. Where like you have a guy like Jaxson Dart and like Drake May, like, dude, the whole house is studded out, right? They're framing out like this is going to be a really nice house, man. This is going to be sweet.
So hope the contractor doesn't leave midway through. That's the only thing I'm worried about.
Granite countertops, the beautiful flooring.
and dude, if we're being honest too, like, how do we get in so many startups? Because you can't trade for those guys because nobody's traded them. And you're like, dude, I need a Drake May share. So like same thing. Like, say I had Drake May in the Browns. Like, he was on the Browns, right? Like, as the way I play like Dynasty is like, I would have to have Drake May. Like, I'd have to have him.
You would have almost every share.
If nobody would trade for me, I would have to join a startup just so I could get Drake May. Right?
Spite startups. You're like, you're not going to give it to me.
I'm gonna, I'll buy them. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's how you get these more licenses. You think like, I've said this 100 times, like, Jagger, it's so funny how the game goes. Like, you do these startups, like, dude, you look back at the startups, dude, if I just went left here when I went right in here, like, I could have done it way better. You're like, you know what? I'm gonna do another startup because now they have a couple of years under my belt. Like, I know exactly how this is gonna go. And then like you do another startup, and it ends. You're like, I can't believe I went left again. Like, what happened? Like, I went
so far left that you just made a circle, kind of.
You're back right.
You know what I mean? But sometimes it works out. Sometimes you don't meet. You're like, I drafted this old team. And the way it works out, like I did that like in Ohio, and then you win 3 out of the 4 championships because of it. And you're like, I don't know, like I love this structure. And then you're like, I won 3 out of the 4 first championships. I do like this structure.
All right. Our biggest riser though, we're gonna stick at the quarterback position. Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence was playing great into the playoffs, had a very good playoff game as well. Unfortunately, they weren't able to win that game, but did everything you hoped. And his receiving core looks so good that they're like, we have too many receivers. We're going to have to move one to corner or trade one or something. So right now, Jagger, it looks like everything is finally aligning for Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, all the stars are aligning. I mean, on this show, before we took like the month break, whatever, I kept trying to add Trevor Lawrence to the sheet. I was just like, when are we going to talk about this? Like, he's like very, very good. And now I feel like everyone, not you guys were starting to get it, but the collective community is starting to understand that Trevor Lawrence is maybe here. And it took coaching. And like you said, they are loaded at wide receiver. I'm worried about BTJ because they just don't need him. They got Travis Hunter, who's coming back. They signed Jacoby Myers to a 3-year extension. Parker Washington looks good. Britton Strange is good. If Travis Etienne comes back, that's a solid pass catcher there. And we know that Bashal Tutin isn't terrible waiting in the wings. LaQuint Allen isn't terrible waiting in the wings. This is a loaded offense. All the things we said about Jaxson Dart, Trevor Lawrence has, and for what it's worth, experience on top of that. So if he has one more year within this Liam Coen offense, you got someone who can give you a nice rushing floor, has everything that you want. Like we keep talking about houses. Homie's got crystal doorknobs in that house. You know, we could talk about it. Like he's absolutely decked out. Like it's a really good situation with the Jaguars. And even though they lost that game, we did not expect them to even be there to begin with. It was an incredible season for the Jaguars. To me, it's wheels up for this entire offense. Trevor Lawrence, I'm not saying he's still going to be the guy that we all thought he was going to be, but man, I'm going to be drafting him earlier than I went where I was. Like where are we ranking him? He's like top 10, but how far into that top 10 at this point?
Yeah. So I've had this argument. I even told Garrett last time I think the last time I went through this debate, because I've done it. This is now be the fourth time I've spoke on Trevor Lawrence, like at a very high level. I told Garrett at the end of this year, like Trevor Lawrence has a chance to enter that like Caleb Williams tier. And he's like, oh, that's too high, right? And I was like, okay. From like week 8 on, I think it was after the bye, or it was week 9, Trevor Lawrence was the number 2 or number 1 overall scorer in all fantasy football. All of fantasy football. You know, I made the point that like historically, like when he plays, like he's kind of has like that Brock Purdy aura. Like he's a low end quarterback 1, which is a top 20, like 25 overall scorer. He's done that in multiple offense. Again, I feel like I'm being redundant here because Garrett, you and I have had this conversation together.
We've had this
discussion so many times. And you mentioned same thing you said, Jagger, all those other weapons that he has. The fact that he has Liam Coen and he's in the right scheme and the right system for his offense. He's 26 years old. Like he's, to me, an elite dynasty asset. And I was on this train a year ago. I'd mentioned on the pod because I know at the beginning of the year, before the bye, like he wasn't looking too great either before like the Jacoby Myers edition. And I was like, I told Garrett, I was like, man, I went on this take at the end of last year, like, hey, everybody go buy Trevor Lawrence. Like he's had a really good dip. This is tremendous value. And I did. And I bought a lot of Trevor Lawrence shares. And I told her at one point, like we're doing our in-season podcast. And I'm like, oh man, like I bought so many Trevor Lawrence shares. Like he's one of my number 1 owned assets because of what I went on to. I was like, I don't know how that's going to play out. And then the buy hit, and it's like, yeah, here I am.
We're back.
Here I am. So I think, my argument, Jagger, to Garrett was like, if he picks up just where he left off, that's it. Just picks up where he left off. And he's a top 3 overall scorer again next year. You're right. Where do you put Trevor Lawrence? A person that considered, loosely had that generational, like loose tag on it. A kid that just won all the time from high school to Clemson, number 1 overall pick, 26 going on 27 years old, coming off a year where he's an MVP candidate, and he finishes next year right where he left off. Where do you put him?
Well, let me ask this question.
Because realistically, Garrett, he'd be a top 4 overall startup player.
I mean, if he has back-to-back years of top 5 finishes, yeah, you've got to put him in very highly. But right now today, if we're going to say that he's top 10, who is he passing up? Let me ask you guys, okay? Because I have him at 12, so it's not like I'm like crazy far away.
Quarterback 12?
I have him at quarterback 12.
Okay.
All right. So if we're going to say top 10, who's he passing? Josh Allen, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts, Caleb Williams.
Yes, that's
Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Jaxson Dart, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert.
Go back all the way back to Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
Why?
I think Jalen Hurts is too high.
Has done it every year.
Like I would put Caleb Williams above Jalen Hurts. Like I think that's where I'm at is like Jalen Hurts is a little too high. But like would you legitimately
draft Trevor Lawrence ahead of Jalen Hurts, who is up there every single year?
I have Jalen Hurts as my quarterback 13. I have Trevor Lawrence as my quarterback 9.
See, that's crazy to me. That's crazy. Like, what does a guy have to do? He has his worst offensive coordinator ever, and he is still a like top. What was he? Quarterback 7, 6.
Dude, a lot of smoke coming out of Philly that Jalen Hurts is the problem. Nick Sirianni is probably gonna get fired next year. You have a new system. We've talked on this podcast forever that Jalen Hurts is like an above average quarterback,
and I've been right forever. He's been good.
Yeah,
you guys have tried to put him at like kill him, and I've been right like 5 straight years.
I think that gravy train is slow. You're going to slowly running out. You're going to have some dry mashed potatoes.
Yeah, if AJ Brown's gone, what are you going to do?
Yeah,
they could replace him in the draft. Sure. But what did the Titans try to replace him too? You know, shout out to Traylon Burks. That worked out. You know?
There you go.
I
think he's in that category. I would take Brock Purdy ahead of Jalen Hurts. I would take Jordan.
That's now we're getting hot. I don't.
Brock Purdy's steady Eddie, man. He's just turned 26 years old in that offense. He's always a quarterback one every single time he plays. To me, it's a same tier, I would argue, but like I think the longevity issue, here's the thing: Jalen Hurts, he could be good next year. I don't believe in Jalen Hurts. I've said this the entire time about Jalen Hurts. He's really good. I had him ranked super high even earlier, but as every year goes along, I'm going to rank him lower because I don't think he has long-term fantasy success. I don't believe in him long-term. I don't think you get the 34-year-old Jalen Hurts out there putting up championship caliber numbers.
I think he's a clear system QB. Let's put it that way. Where that gets thrown around and it doesn't mean anything, but it's clear that if he does not have a good system, he cannot rise above it. Whereas some of these other guys, you could say, well, he's not the problem. I can't say that with Jalen Hurts.
I mean, the guy goes to back-to-back or goes to 2 Super Bowls, wasn't back-to-back, 2 Super Bowls, wins one of them, and is consistently what was he, quarterback 6 this year? Like, I don't know what the guy has to do. He did it in 2021. He did it in 2022. He did it in 2023. He did it in 2024. He did it in 2025.
Elite years, yeah, for sure. But again, I don't believe it. Listen. His skill set.
We've been saying this every year for 4 years.
And I've ranked him hot. Dude, this is the first year I started to move Jalen Hurts down. Before this, I had Jalen Hurts as my top 5 quarterbacks. You're right. This is Dynasty,
because we forced you. You always had him low.
Dude, every year is different. And now that's starting to slide down. I moved Lamar Jackson down a little bit too, you know?
Yeah.
For number 1 overall. Things change. Listen, things change. And what's going to happen when this 27 class comes? Dude, it's going to be like a ice cream cone on a sunny day.
I'll say this as a Browns fan. I would love to have Jalen Hurts as my quarterback.
Well, okay. Well, that's because you're in the basement, buddy. Like, you can't use I'm a Browns fan and we need a QB.
He's been to 2 Super Bowls and won one. What does a guy have to do?
Maybe a third, Garrett. I don't know. Maybe a third.
The hate is just too deep.
Let us know in the comments, because I feel like we have 3 levels. There's like where Garrett is, where I'm at, and then way down here is where Rich is. Like, which one of us is right?
Bo Nix or Jalen Hurts? That's a strong argument.
Jalen Hurts.
That is a real argument, because I think Bo Nix is okay. Like, he's super duper okay.
And with Trevor Lawrence, Garrett, you're right. That is, like, you could say that's crazy, but I think in 3 years, just like I said a year ago, to go buy Trevor Lawrence, you're gonna be like, oh man, I'm sure glad I listened to Rich over Garrett. Like, I'm so glad I got Trevor Lawrence out here shuffling.
I mean, if you want to tip the Trevor Lawrence, who was the biggest Drake May supporter in the world?
You.
Yeah.
I don't know about the world, but like other people I know, at least.
I mean, there's a video circulating saying he's my dark horse for quarterback 1 overall this year.
Oh, well, I have a video out there when Devon Achane got drafted saying he has a chance to be a top 3.
Don't switch it. We're talking quarterback.
I'm not talking about the past either. One time in 8th grade, I run in the 3rd grade, I run the rope climbing competition. I don't put that on my resume.
All right. Well, since these negative Nancy's want to be
that's not me on the rope, baby.
Let's get to our fallers, guys that are plummeting down our rankings. And let's start with we put the Miami offense in here, losing McDaniels. It's obviously not good news for anybody involved there. They have a Jeff Hafley now as their head coach. We'll see how things go there. Tua was already in a bad spot. We'll see what happens with Waddle, if Tyreek's even back. I still believe in Devon Achane. I don't think it changes much for him because I think he'll be successful in most schemes. So I'm not too worried there. But let's move to our number 3 faller, and that's Zach Charbonnet. Zach Charbonnet had the opportunity to be the guy in Seattle next year. They were splitting time all year. Sometimes it was a Kenneth Walker game. Sometimes it was a Zach Charbonnet game. Sometimes it was neither. But Zach Charbonnet had a real chance with Kenneth Walker being a free agent. But then he tears his ACL, and it sounds like it's not good news. And it increases the likelihood that we're getting Zach Charbonnet or Kenneth Walker back in Seattle. So, Rich, is there any hope of them just moving on from Kenneth Walker? Or does it seem pretty realistic now that, especially with how good they're playing going to the Super Bowl, that Kenneth Walker is going to be right back at running back next year?
I don't think that's a guarantee, but there's definitely gonna be a running back over Zach Charbonnet in Seattle next year. I mean, that's like, saying Zach Charbonnet his value has gone down is like trying to explain why the pan on the stove's hot. Like, it's like it's on the stove, bro. Yeah, I mean, I think Kenneth Walker. I think ideally, for them to win the Super Bowl, they'd want to bring him back. But there's an argument that Kenneth Walker get paid more money because he is, he has a really good game in the Super Bowl and he gets paid elsewhere. There's a lot of good free agent running backs out there. So I don't think it's necessarily guaranteed that Kenneth Walker is the guy. The way they use those guys and split them, maybe Kubiak, if Kubiak even stays, or McDonald has like an ideal fit for running backs since they inherited Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet that they want to use. So maybe there's a guy in free agency they like just a little bit better that they could help take them to another level. But the big thing is like Zach Charbonnet tore his ACL badly. Because you heard they said it was worse than just an ACL a week ago, 2 weeks ago. Like he's going to miss a lot of time. So, we talk about this all the time. When it comes to a running back, when you live in this 2 to 3 year window for most running backs, it's a majority of them, not the outliers. Like every game you miss, every half season you miss, that could be 25% of your whole fantasy football career of value, right? Like it holds such a big it's like, when you're young, like everything's so cool because everything's new to you, right? Like there's like a short window there. So for Zach Charbonnet, yeah, it really does kill his value like tremendously. And I don't know who the running back is. You think it'd be Kenneth Walker, but no matter who it is, if it is Kenneth Walker, I think it's worse for Zach Charbonnet because of like he's guaranteed like to look good in that offense. He knows the offense. Where if it's somebody else, it leaves the avenue of like being like the Miles Sanders, running back when you extend them, they kind of like they look good before, then you sign them, they're not that good in that offense. And then when Zach Charbonnet gets healthy, it can provide value, but you won't even know his value until late into the season in 2026. And even then, and like
probably not even 27 until he really starts to look like himself again.
And then by then, like it's a whole new wave. You know what I mean? Like there's the other running backs.
He'll be a free agent at that point in 2027.
Mm-hmm. Free agent. We know those guys don't get a lot of money. It'd be a much better draft class at the running back position as well for teams to go. We'll fill those notes again. There'll be more free agents, running backs that are cut. So to me, unfortunately, Zach Charbonnet, who's always been very solid, kind of similar to Kenneth Walker, his value's kind of fallen by the wayside. Like maybe he'll get that 1 year. Like he's that roster clogger that you have that you can't cut. You're not starting. And you just hope for that one opportunity that you're starting him on a 3-week schedule. Like he'll be like that Rico Dottle, right? Like he's always going to pop up and be like, yeah, I got him, baby. Like who wants to pay it first for him? People are like, are you out of crazy? But like, well, look at the numbers he's putting up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What are you feeling on Charbonnet there, Jag?
Just, what can I add? Like, it's just not good. Like, if anything, I was a little bit more positive, and then you guys started talking. I'm like, wow, you make some points. And it's just like the fact that he's not going to be great until he's 27 years old, and then in running back years, that's like a decade. We're going to be at, like, you remember Zach Charbonnet? You're like, oh, what is that, a wine? And we've completely kind of forgot about him. And I'm not saying that there's not a chance, but he's officially throw-in territory where you're rebuilding and you're like, wow, this guy can live on my IR and maybe I have something in 2 years at best. It's just not good. It's the worst timing for an ACL tear ever. Contract year coming up. It's your chance to take over. You're coming off a Super Bowl. Your running mate is absolutely tearing it up. The best free agency running back class I've seen in a long time. It's just, it's not great.
Not great. Not great at all. We go from him to another guy that just things have not gone his way so far. Had the injury in year one, and then every little time there was some sort of hope, it got snuffed out again in year two. And JJ McCarthy has just, it's not been great. There's a lot of rumors swirling now that they're going to bring in some legitimate competition. There's other rumors that they might even trade for a huge name and try to give up on him. Probably false, but either way, none of the rumors are positive. All of the rumors are negative for JJ McCarthy. And Rich, I know that you are, or at least were, a very, very big stan of JJ McCarthy. Have we lost hope? Have we given up? Or are we just going to ride this out, or maybe even buy?
Well, I told you before, I still have an offer in a league we're in for 1.5 for JJ McCarthy. Which like old Rich would be like, yeah, I'm stealing, but new Rich is like, I mean, I got to admit, like, this is still like, it's not looking good. Like, do I think though, like this is it? 100% not. Like, this is, dude, super young kid, has to grow into the NFL and learn his coverage. Didn't have a ton of even time at Michigan there. He hasn't played a ton of snaps. The kid needs time, so really my only question is, does Minnesota give him the time or not? We were talking about that a little bit pre-show. Like, the most optimistic thing I have is that quote, I've said this multiple times, from Kevin McConnell, says organizations fail young quarterbacks before young quarterbacks fail organizations. And I think, if anything, Sam Darnold should be a glaring example here. He's in the Super Bowl. Like, the Jets obviously had a Super Bowl caliber quarterback, right? Like, they failed Sam Darnold. It wasn't Sam Darnold. The Jets failed Sam Darnold. So stand by that notion. Minnesota's got tons of weapons they can put around him. He's got Justin Jefferson. He's got TJ Hawkinson. He's got Jordan Addison. They're going to get a good running back in this offense. Do they give him another shot? And I think they do. Like, you're right. Like, he hasn't had like a legit shot. Like, you can't put a kid out there that missed his whole rookie year, was already the youngest quarterback in the league when he came in, and then shove him out there and say, oh my God, you didn't look good in your 3 starts when you haven't played football in 18 months. Like, it's a hard game to play. It's a hard position to play. You need time. So I think JJ McCarthy has the talent. I think he's in the right system and the weapons around him to find success. Does he find it? I don't know. Like, and nobody can sit here and tell you yes, right? Like, you don't know. There's so many other factors that go into it. But I do believe that I am buying the JJ McCarthy dip. Now, I'm not buying the dip at 1.5, obviously, right? But like, anything after that in this class, if I get JJ McCarthy for 1.8, 1.7, 1.9, yeah, I would risk that. And in a 1 quarterback league for 2026, I'm not probably giving up a 27
in a super flex league, right? You wouldn't do that.
Oh yeah, super flex. Yeah, 1 QB. Yeah. No thanks. But
I was like, wow, Rich.
That's not a doo-doo drop on JJ. That's just most quarterbacks. I feel that way.
Anybody outside of Drake May and Josh Allen, I'm probably not.
Yeah, when it's 1 QB, dude, I'm just looking for Neo. I just need the 1. That's it. Yeah. So for everybody else, yeah, forget about it. So yeah, I still think there's a lot of hope, and I think it'd be silly for anybody to say, "Oh yeah, he's done, he's trash," because there's nothing to say that in evidence, because he had some bad games. Like, people have bad games, people have bad years, people have to grow into themselves, and I think hopefully, again, like, go back to what I said, Sam Darnold will show. It won't. I mean, these people fire coaches that have winning records. Like, hey. Sam Darnold's proof, like, if you could be patient and develop a quarterback, like, why do you hire these people? Why do you hire these coaches and these assistant quarterbacks to develop these players and develop a system? Going back to stability, to let them grow into that system. I think they have to give JJ McCarthy another year. And then, listen, next year, if JJ McCarthy's in that system for the full year, he's healthy, they don't let them see. Now you've had over 2 years of him in offense, you have a really good grasp of where you can take this and where you can mold this player into it. And then but nobody knows anything until 2026, in my opinion.
Jagger, you in a similar boat or no?
I think Rich is right, but he's wrong. Like, in a perfect world, yeah, you are right about everything that JJ McCarthy needs and about where the Vikings are as an organization and what they need to do. Here's the thing is, they're at a championship window and nothing else matters. Like they ran out of time. That development year was 2 years ago. They lost it. Their kind of development year where we can sort of make excuses was this year. They lost it. Now you have Justin Jefferson. They might even lose Brian Flores. That window might be closed. So like, if Brian, he's extended. Okay, so he's there. So the window's still open. You need a win right now. And JJ McCarthy is not the one who's going to do it for you. So now talking out of the other side of my mouth, do I believe that they can trade for a QB? No. They're going to bring in competition. Who? Yeah. Malik Willis? It just the Vikings, I'm sorry, for lack of better terms, they're kind of fucked as far as QB standpoint. Like, I just don't know where they're going to make a move. And JJ McCarthy can make a significant leap. It's just, it's going to look bad. It's going to look bad, and then sometimes it's going to look good. That's what we got with Sam Darnold for like 4 years until we finally got it all put together. He finally had the experience. And are Vikings fans ready for that? Are JJ McCarthy fans ready for that? Now, from a dynasty standpoint, I'm buying after Ty Simpson, depending on as of right now. Because, Garrett, I was going to ask you, would you rather have JJ McCarthy now or Ty Simpson maybe?
For me, I need to know what happens with Ty Simpson, because I think there's a world where team falls in love with him, takes him at 10, and it's a good situation. But I think there's another scenario where he falls to mid-second round and it's not a situation we love. And like Ty Simpson's kind of all over the place right now. So until that stabilizes, I guess I'll take McCarthy, but either way, I don't feel good. I'll say that. Either way, I'm not excited.
I'll blow 112 on McCarthy right now if like Simpson's off the board. Like, I think McCarthy's going to start somewhere. If not the Vikings, he's probably going to start at the Vikings. And again, who they're going to bring in? Like, I don't know.
I
Mac
definitely
Jones?
think McCarthy's
Mac Jones.
I do think that McCarthy's a starter next year. I think Mac Jones is a possibility. I think worst case scenario would be Kirk Cousins coming back. That would be the worst case scenario.
I think it's the only one you have to be worried about, to be honest with you. They don't trade for Mac Jones. It'd be Kirk Cousins coming in on like a low key deal and giving him a chance to compete with JJ McCarthy, right? And I would say a lot would come in. I think it's the only competition. And besides that, I mean, he just turned 23 years old. Yeah. Right? He just turned 23 this month.
I do think he's the starter. I do think he's the starter next year. My hesitation isn't as much in him being the starter is he going to be a good starter? That's more of my hesitation.
And the question, what's nice about him too, is like the installation you get with a JJ McCarthy buy is, yes, he's gonna be a starter in Minnesota most likely next year, and that he will, even if he gets off the Minnesota Vikings, he'll 100% get another opportunity elsewhere.
He'll get a chance,
100%.
Yep. Yeah, especially with how many reclamation projects we've had over the past 7-8 years. I mean, going back to like Geno Smith and Ryan Tannehill were some of the earlier ones that people got real excited about. And yeah, maybe they didn't have long-term success, but there was a 3-year window there where those guys were extremely, extremely valuable. And then you have Baker and Darnold and, all these different
Tannehill, he was quarterback 7, back-to-back years.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, there's a lot of quarterbacks to talk about in this episode. JJ McCarthy, our number 2 faller of the week, but our number 1 faller, unanimous. This was the only thing in this whole, of all the players we talked about where we were unanimous. The number 1 faller, CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud, I mean, he had an opportunity here. His defense, that Houston Texans defense, was playing incredible, and he just could not get it done on the offensive side of the football. Granted, I know there were some injuries and some things like that to some of the pass catching pieces, but CJ Stroud just looked bad. And Jagger, I don't know about for you, but for me, like I am legitimately concerned about CJ Stroud. That being said, I actually see this a little bit as a buy low opportunity, depending on how low he falls in people's rankings. Like today, would you rather have McCarthy or would you have CJ Stroud?
CJ Stroud by a lot.
Okay.
I'm under the impression that the worst thing the Texans could have done was prematurely fire Bobby Slowick. They should have just went back to the fullback for the running game. That's a whole other question. But like that offensive line is so bad, man. It's so bad. And I'm not saying that CJ Stroud played bad just because of the offensive line, but he's trying to play hero ball with like injured Nico Collins, Jaden Higgins only just now coming along. I don't know what's going on with Jalen Noel, but I think that there's a good quarterback in there, at least a league above average QB. And I am willing to buy. If I can get CJ Stroud for a late first, I'm paying that all day, every day. And I think the Texans can figure out their offensive line. That's their number 1 priority this offseason is fix offensive line, get the right offensive coordinator. They already missed out on Mike McDaniel, it looks like, but that's the big question here is you want to talk about a house right now. CJ Stroud has a dope paint job, and inside it is an absolute trap house. There's just like there's drug needles and hot spoons all over the place. I need somebody to go in there and clean it up.
Yeah. What are you thinking, Rich?
Yeah, this is why you listen to the podcast for the last 12 years. And because it just comes down to, in this business, you're going to be right and you're going to be wrong, right? And you put yourself out there, and you put yourself out there intentionally, because that's what you do. You make content to put yourself out there, you put time into it, and you give your opinion, and you hope you're right and wrong. I've been in the business for 12 years. I've been right, more than I've been wrong. I've been wrong a lot, but I've been right a lot. And, as I said, Trevor Lawrence, go back to Trevor Lawrence, talk about him a year ago, 2 years ago. And for 2 years now, I've seen like the biggest hater when CJ Stroud rose up to the number 2 overall player. I said, this is complete overvaluation. Like Jagger said it. I thought CJ Stroud was an above average quarterback who didn't use his legs. I've said probably at least 6 times on this show over the last 2 years, mostly 2 years ago, CJ Stroud is only valued here because he's a 22-year-old quarterback that looks good. That's it. Like he does not offer. And I said, like, this could change, of course, but like, I don't view CJ Stroud as an elite fantasy football quarterback. Like he falls into that, like more of like the Jared, like his ceiling's like a Jared Goff, like range, like a low end QB1 is his ceiling. And which he hasn't even sniffed that yet. Right. I think like 1 year as a quarterback one, and it was like low end. I think that was it.
He was quarterback 10 or 11 his rookie season. Yeah.
That's why he rose up to like quarterback 2 overall. And I was like, listen, man, this is a kid I like. He's an Ohio State kid. I just don't see the elite fantasy football quarterback. And we hammered on our show. I think we're all in agreement at that time where like you have to sell CJ Stroud. And then the following year, we're like, hey, dude, see, look, he moved down a little bit. You still have to sell CJ Stroud. Like he still gets you a ton. There's tons of guys we talked about tearing down from CJ Stroud. And in that time frame, if you didn't listen, now you're stuck with like he's going to probably slip to the buy window here a little bit, but still, unfortunately for what he's worth, nobody's going to sell him at that point because you're just going to hope for the upside. You're going to be like, oh, bad offensive line. It can only get better. I don't think, okay, can it get better from what he's done? Of course it can get better from that. Like, if the Texans move down from CJ Stroud, somebody else would swoop him right up. He's a starting NFL quarterback. Mm. I don't personally view CJ Stroud as an elite fantasy football quarterback. He's somebody I would never draft. If I did draft him, like I'm drafting him at value as my quarterback 2 on my dynasty team.
I think he's like quarterback like 19 or 20 or something like that right now. So
he's my quarterback 15 because again, he's a 24-year-old quarterback that can slide in my quarterback 2. And even if he puts up, like I say all the time, if he puts up quarterback 2 numbers, which is all I think he's capable of, I'm cool with that. Like, because that's still a top 60 overall scorer. Like, I'm okay with that. But like, if I'm trying to get elite assets, like what I felt about CJ Stroud is like he opened the door for you to get elite assets, right? Like I even said back then, like, dude, trade CJ Stroud right now for Brock Purdy and a couple for, and get it. There's always, I think even at the time I was trying to move on to Jordan Love right before he signed that extension. Like he's just that quarterback that like he was a young darling, offered a ton of upside. He shows a lot of warts. Kind of going back to like he's like Jalen Hurts without the Russian ability. He's got better arm than Jalen Hurts. Like he needs everything else to be really good around him for him to have a lot of success. He's got a really good defense right now. He can make some throws, but he doesn't offer any rushing upside. We already know if you're a quarterback that does not offer rushing ability, it automatically slides you down a couple tiers, no matter what, because like that limits your ceiling. So I've been out on CJ Stroud, another person I've been talking about for a couple of years, and not to the point where I think he's trash. Going back to Jagger says, like, I think he's a slightly above average quarterback, which means he's insulated. He's going to be a starter. He's a team like that can get you to playoffs, but he's never going to win you a Super Bowl. Like he's just never going to win you a Super Bowl. And
that's me, from Ohio State guys, that's damning.
And listen, for me personally, Jagger, I think he's the worst quarterback to have on your NFL franchise. The worst kind, because he's young, he's talented enough, he's good, he keeps you in the middle, right? You get to the playoffs there, and you get these upside with him, but like he's never the guy. And then
reminds me of Jay Cutler, but except he's nice, like a good person,
Jay Cutler had a rocket arm.
Well, that's Jay Cutler. There was so much to like about him, but you're like, why can't he win a championship? That's kind of how I feel about CJ Stroud.
Like, you're it's gross. Like you're almost better chasing the upside of a guy like Cam Ward than CJ Stroud.
For fantasy though, right now today, JJ McCarthy, CJ Stroud. Who you taking, Rich?
I'm still taking CJ Stroud.
Okay.
Like, I don't want to do on like he's not like this worst asset. My biggest thing is like now I'm okay because he's starting to come back where I said he belonged 2 years ago. Like so, like I've had him ranked lower, and I've been talking about this for like years. The whole time I said he's not a bad asset to own. He's just completely overvalued, and you need to move him for his premium value. Now that he's slid back to like where like he kind of belongs, like I have him as my 40th overall player, right? Like he's still a young starting quarterback that holds a ton of value in Superflex, like because it starts to get real grim after that. But again, I think what hurts here's what I think is a change it for CJ Stroud. I think this 27 class of quarterbacks is going to be so good. It's really going to change the dynamic. So like going into 2026, you got to think about that. Like you got to think about like, you know, when we have these elite running back classes that are coming, how it's going to change the landscape, right? Like I think you have to look at these quarterbacks now, and I'm going to throw Lamar Jackson in here, Jalen Hurts in here, CJ Stroud in here, into that Burrow. I think Burrow, if he gets hurt again, can fall in this category. Is you have to kind of a little bit think about like what is this new quarterback class going to do? Because right now, all signs point to the 27 class being that like elite, like one of those elite tier quarterback classes that we see like every 4, 5, 6 years. You know, there's multiple options there. Doesn't mean they're all going to be good, but boy, does the upside look very tantalizing. We talked about it before, you know, Julian saying Lenore Sellers, Dante Moore, Arch Manning, and Garrett, you probably know 5 other guys. And Jagger, you probably know 4 other guys at least that are going to be really good in this class. So like when you have those 5 guys, they're all probably going to have top 10 draft capital. And then we saw the JJ McCarthy class, right? Like right now, like you have Caleb Williams, Jane Daniels, Drake May, like, oh my gosh, like that's so like just those 3 alone changed the whole dynamic of it. Bo Nix, you know, right? Like 4. And you still got Penix and JJ who could do something there. Like that class is like the point, like, okay, do I want to chase Arch Manning? Or would I rather have Arch Manning, who's done nothing yet, who just went top 3, or CJ Stroud, or 31-year-old Lamar Jackson, or 30-year-old Jalen Hurts, right? Like, I think that dynamic's about to shift pretty drastically here when these new quarterbacks come. So, like,
for what it's worth, Jalen Hurts is only 27 today.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. But in quarterback fantasy years, he's like a dog. He's more closer to 34. So you do QB years. I think if you're going to be a good dynasty owner, it's about thinking in long term as well. And long term means like future draft classes. And like, why do you listen to Draft Nerds, your guys' show, or the Dynasty Nerds podcast 365 days a year? It's to put you in these kind of positions to find success, and success is just knowledge, right? And taking risk and trying to get ahead of things, and trying to get ahead of a player like Trevor Lawrence before that price goes up. Trying to get ahead of Jaxson Dart, or listen to Garrett, a year ago and say, I think Drake May could be the number 1 overall player. Like, wow, if Garrett really thinks that, maybe I should kind of slightly overpay. And now what looks like an overpay today is an underpay tomorrow kind of category. Like that's been my slogan now for 12 years, because that's how you win a dynasty, right? An underpay today is an overpay today is underpay tomorrow. So we talk about a guy like CJ Stroud, like you can't do anything with him now, but like finding those windows, a guy like CJ Stroud, like I think CJ Stroud has a chance to go even lower after about 18 months from now, like right around there, which again, sounds like a long time, but we're going to be blank and we're going to be sitting here drooling. Like right now, we're like, oh, dude, we got to talk about all these 26 prospects. 12 months from now, we're gonna be like this, dude. When do we start these shows, man? Like, I got so much. We're gonna do 2 weeks on the quarterbacks, right? Like, we're probably going to start our rookie content a couple weeks early next year to give these guys like the proper credit where it's due. So, going back to like Jalen Hurts, CJ Stroud, like that's looming, right? That's looming to saying, yeah. Where do you take CJ Stroud against JJ McCarthy, and who's the other one you said? CJ Stroud, JJ McCarthy, and
Cam Ward.
Now, cool. That's a fun thing to talk about in a super weak class comparing the quarterback landscape today.
Sure.
12 months from now, like, where do we talk about those guys? And there is a good chance that all 3 of those guys could slip down guys who have never taken a snap in the NFL, right? Because we're going to be drooling over that and the situations that they're in. So CJ Stroud is not only dropped in a public's eye. This is such a long stake here on CJ Stroud, but public eye, I legitimately think it could get worse.
Wow. All right.
Still get an asset that I want. I will say like he's not
I'm willing to buy at today's price.
Yes. My point is though, like I think it could get even worse. Doesn't mean he's a bad asset to own, but like if he's your quarterback 15 now, some of the guys, like there's a good chance after 2027 he's quarterback like 21, like a low end quarterback too at 25, 26 years old, which is crazy to say.
All right, guys. Well, that wraps things up for our monthly edition of the Risers and Fallers. Hope you guys are enjoying the show. Appreciate you guys if you guys would go out there, give us 5 stars, give us a rating and review on Apple Pods. Make sure you're going and liking and subscribing to all of our content on YouTube or on the Draft Nerds page as well, liking all of that kind of stuff. We appreciate you guys, and we'll see you next time.